Welcome to the RVA Returners Podcast, your weekly source for all things Final Fantasy TCG.
Yeah, man, I definitely appreciate you giving me the starter deck, by the way. We still haven't gotten them in, which is wild.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're just hard to find in general, it seems like.
Yeah, and turns out you can win win a legit event with this one, and I guess you can finish second in a Japanese event with one. But with that being said, Adam, we are back. Welcome again to the next episode of the RVA Returners Podcast. I'm so out of touch because it's been, we missed a week, and I hate missing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay to take breaks sometimes, but this isn't going to be a thing we do remotely often.
Not in this house. So. Not in this house. Guys, as always, I'm your host, Chris Adams, and with me, through the power of the internet, my co-host, Adam Lane. Adam, say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, we're a little late this week, obviously. We were down there for the Fire Crystal Cup. So, if you weren't there, or if you haven't checked out the VOD, or, maybe you're waiting for it to be uploaded onto the Square YouTube. If you haven't seen it yet, you missed out on a great event, great weekend. We'll talk more about that. We're just tired. We just got back last night. It was a long car trip, taking turns driving, everybody sleeping. But, that's just the kind of things that happen. Now, Adam, it's been a while. The TV's been turned off. I like to know where I can find all the information I need about, what's happened in the last couple weeks in the community. Do you know of such a place? I mean, I'm sitting here on Google. I'm getting ready to type something in. I don't really know where to look for all this information. Is there a hub of sorts? Is there somewhere I can go? Adam, tell me.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Facebook?
Ooh, man, maybe. But actually something pops up here. It's the news. All right, so kind of headlines over the last couple weeks. Like I said, we're a little bit behind as far as that goes, but for those who saw last week, they did reveal what our LQ trophies are going to look like, and boy, howdy, do they look great. I'm a huge fan of that Dissidia circle. Adam, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it looks pretty sweet. I'm a little bit more partial to affiliate art myself, but I think both trophies are pretty sweet in their own right. I definitely want to try to win one. So.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I definitely want to see if I can finish better than second place at one of those this year. That would be fantastic. Yeah, I think they're great. I think the ones they've got over in Japan are great as well. The Bart's trophies and the Noctis trophies for the Masters event. They've really taken it to another level on these things, and they're just very appealing shelf pieces. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, and that's not the only thing we saw. I'm sure everybody's seen it by now, but the World Champions promo has been revealed, and I absolutely love the fact that it's got his name on it, and 2018 World Champion, Alex Hancock's. I think that's really, really cool that they did that.
Yeah, I definitely want to try to get my hands on 3 of them. It's going to be hard, I think. The promos are becoming a lot more sought after, which is a good thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the price is going to go up because of that, but we're getting more quality promos. Sure, we're getting less foils, but you have to they're being earned, right? You gotta earn them, and if you don't want to earn them and you want to pay, then you're gonna have to pay that higher dollar fee,
Right, because it turns out when you're in a card game, if you want special tournament only promos, you have to play in a tournament, and if you want the foil one, you gotta win it. Mm-hmm. That. Here's the thing. I get it. Collectors want to collect, and haters are gonna hate. But here's the thing. If I win an event where these promos are being given out, I think I've earned that foil. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the whole point.
Yeah.
And if a collector wants that so bad, then spend $20 to $25 on one foil of that card. I mean, that's just how it's going to be. And if me as a player can only win 2, and I want that playset, then I'm going to have to suck it up and spend $20 to $25 on a foil one to get that third one. It's just out, I shouldn't be mad at the other people selling it for $20 to $25 because they also earned it too.
Right, and I shouldn't also be mad that if we have enough in the kits that are sent us to have a playset and someone else wins one, hey, they earned it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's good. I like the fact that the promos, the cards we're getting on these promos, is just getting better. Obviously, Cognazzo is this month, Alua's next month, and then we got the Bart's promo. Not only are these good cards, these are staple cards we're getting.
Yeah, they're all great.
So it's absolutely fantastic. Big tip of the hat to them for, really upping the promo game. Like really, really beautiful choices.
Yep.
So that we got that, and then there's been some events over across the pond. I know there were a few There's been two Masters events over in Japan.
Yeah, one last week and then one at the same time as this actual past week was pretty loaded with events. So yeah, one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The weekend was stacked.
Yeah, one a week ago and then one this past weekend.
Yeah, so we'll go further back on this one. The top 8 was pretty interesting. This one had it had a little bit of everything. It had Mono Earth, it had Mono Water, it had Wind Earth, which actually won the event. It was won by, I think, first and second place were both Earth Wind Oriange decks. Is that correct?
I know the first place was I can't remember if the second one was just Earth Wind, or if it had.
And I know Mono Earth was in top 4.
I believe Mono Earth was third. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah. Turns out that deck still has a lot of legs, and I mean, I want to say I don't have the list in front of me, but I'm pretty sure it ran a copy of Veritas.
I believe it had one copy in it, yeah.
Which is fine in that deck because you can search it off the Camelot, and you have ways to recur it and things like that. In that deck because you have Minfilia, you've got Miner, you've got a Pooparoo, which I think the deck is running as well. And you got Camelot to search it out if need be. So like it can run one and be fine. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, every deck in top 4 had Veritas in it. So we might be foreshadowing to the main topic later, but we'll get to that.
I want to say this is the event that had the Mono Earth with the Magic Pot in it.
It was, yeah. It was. That was the top 4 Mono Earth list, which I actually really like that list a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty strong.
Yeah, I agree with that. So it's a really good event there, and then the second Masters that they had that kind of I guess now we're caught up. That was the news from last week that you would have gotten, had I not been in New Orleans making mistakes with Steven Arboleta. And that's a whole other story for a whole nother podcast, or maybe for a Tales from the Veldt session. But we'll get to that. So now we're caught up. This week they were loaded with events, loaded. And we'll start with another Masters event that was won by this really, really, really cheeky-looking Light Una Mill, I believe is what it was called, Adam.
That might have been the name of it. It was 3 colors. Well, 4 if you count light, but it was Ice, Wind.
Awesome.
It was Ice, Wind, and Earth.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting. I haven't tried it yet. I want to try it because maybe I'm missing something. Because on paper, to me, it doesn't look that great. Like, I feel like there are other things I'd rather play. But I mean, it won an event, so it can't be so bad.
Yeah, and what finished second in that event?
It was essentially an upgraded version of the starter deck from the Heroes and Villains. It was Fire Wind with a heavy like Warriors of Light package, and it ran some Chocobos in it.
Nice, nice.
But yeah, it basically looked like an evolved form of that half of the starter deck.
Interesting. And, that kind of says something, man. I will definitely say, and we kind of touched on it earlier, I guess while we were just kind of rambling on. Turns out the starter product they make is actually super, super playable in many cases. So that should tell you something there. But one thing I don't believe, just to double check, I actually got the list pulled up in front of me. I don't think there, because it was dedicated to Una, there was no Veritas in this list.
Yeah, I don't think either deck had Veritas in it. So
yeah, that's fine. Turns out you can't play Veritas if you're running light cards, or if your opponent's milling you and you can't have the cards in hand to play it.
Well, yeah, I guess you probably will still eventually get to play it, but yeah, I mean maybe the mill is like a pretty good strategy against that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but I would have liked to. I want to see more details on that, but I don't think we've seen too terribly much beyond that, like those couple deck lists anyway.
Yeah, I think I saw 3 deck lists from that event. One of them was Mono Water Veritas, and this was the top 2. So
yeah, well, there it is. But speaking of mono decks, doing well, in the Ghent Grand Open, there was a Mono Water. I believe it was called Mono Water Veritas.
You mean Mono Wind?
Yeah, sorry, Mono Wind Veritas. Yeah, but it still ran the Crystal Chronicles package, so he was running Yuri and Veritas.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I think it shows the power of the card, which we'll probably get into more in this cast. Yeah, I mean, Veritas is a card. It's really good.
Turns out.
Yeah.
But also, too, like, the fact that the fact that the deck still ran the full-on Crystal Chronicles package. Now, it was missing a few things. Like it didn't have any Zidanes in the list. It favored like Barbarisha and like Shara combos. It didn't have. It was a very, I don't want to say straightforward, but it had a lot of interesting card choices in there. I felt like it was teched for a meta with Veritas, but yet it also like still was able. It just had a lot of really neat tricks. And by that I mean, you know, like I said, just using Shara for a lot of things, and then just having that Moogle to keep card draw. But if I were, and this is me just kind of critiquing, because clearly the deck is good. Because not only did he win, he had to beat Robert Phillips in the final set, who was playing, I believe, Wind Earth Urianger. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I actually want to sleeve that deck up and give it a try. I know he's already said he's taking the guy who won. I apologize. I don't know his name. And, you know, if you're listening, I'm the worst. I apologize. He said Death Gaze is coming out immediately. Mm-hmm. And Zidane will probably be going in.
Okay.
So, and the 3 CP one. The good one. The Thoughtseize one.
They're both good.
But I agree with that.
But, I mean, yeah, I prefer the 3 CP most of the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so really neat. And then, you know, the last bit of news, you know, there was another event going on. You know, maybe you tuned in, maybe you heard of it. It was the Fire Crystal Cup, North America's first Crystal Cup that was won by a friend of this cast, and you know, just a great human being and player in general, and that's Colin Rupert. So just a big congratulations to him. I know he's been grinding all last season. You know, he really worked hard. Like last season, he grinded just super hard, puts in the time, puts in the hours, has been doing so up to this point. So I just can't congratulate the man enough. He did a fantastic job. And check out his interview at the end of the event on our stream. Which, by the way, Adam, I think we did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I think I'm proud of what we did. I'm very proud.
I am too, man. I'm not one to toot horns or anything like that. But I think it was a great time. Adam, we're going to dive in. Let's go ahead and unpack this thing. Tell me your experience, man. Just tell me what you thought of the event overall from the competition side, from the behind the scenes side, just overall. I think it was just a fantastic event from top to bottom. And just, you know, talk to me, Goose. Tell me what's going on.
Yeah, so I'll start like a little bit before the event. Like I guess about like a week before, not quite a week maybe. Mm-hmm. I saw some results out of Japan. It wasn't a Masters tournament or anything. It was a pretty large Japan tournament. And forgive me, I don't really remember the name. Mm-hmm. But it was loaded with like mono water lists that had 2 and 3 Veritas in them.
The Malaysia event, I believe.
Okay. And like I started looking at the list, and Veritas was a card that, admittedly, I severely underrated. Right?
Oh shit, me too.
And I came around on it, I'd say about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, when I realized that the card is very dumb, very very strong. Mm-hmm. And when I saw this, I still wasn't playing him at the time. I was still trying to build stuff around like the Warrior of Light and all that stuff, and that's what I made my video on, that I was gonna take to Tampa. And I definitely lied. I would have not taken that. And I would have had that sleeved up, but it definitely 100% would have been what I played. I was already looking at these Veritas lists, and I've been playing them on the Octagon Open. That's what I've been playing since I saw that list, and I haven't lost with it yet. So it's been really good, and it just does things, I feel like, for that archetype that aren't fair. But we'll get into that more about that later. But so that coming into that event, we were streaming, and a lot of people were asking us like what we thought was gonna win, and I know like you were still saying mono lightning, but you were also on mono water. Because you had played against me, and you had played against Adam Duncan, who was playing a version of that list when we were testing him the night before, and we were starting to see like how dumb it really was, and so like. You know, we sat down.
Mono Lightning came close, though. So I've actually crossed that off my prediction list because I was wrong. But, boy, it came close. It was top 8, I believe. I believe Azul made top 8.
Azul was in top 8, yeah. So It was fairly close. And there was some other ones in the top 32 as well. Mm-hmm. But Veritas, the way I wanted to get to was Veritas was a card we knew before we even stepped on the microphone that thing was going to be probably the most played card of the weekend. I remember even telling everyone Friday night, like, buy them now, because I promise you they will go up in the secondary market. So, but yeah, I mean, once we sat down, we set all our stream stuff up. It was a bit of a headache. We had the whole sword of the stone moment where, like, let's try to set the camera up and no one could unscrew the camera to tighten it, so we kind of had to tilt one camera, and that suffered a little bit. But I feel like, it was fine. People could still understand what was going on the camera. And we had a few hiccups throughout the weekend, but I'm still really proud of what we did. And those are things we'll 100% fix going forward. And I felt like, from an entertainment perspective, I feel like we knocked it out the park.
Right. No, absolutely. I 100% think we did, because, it's just something that we, when we were, kind of given the opportunity to do this, we definitely wanted to make sure that we didn't let anybody down. People have been watching our streams. We do our Soldier Series monthly, which will be coming back next month, by the way. That's a little piece of news we can interject in there.
May 11th, I believe.
May 11th will be our next Soldier Series event. We probably won't be streaming it, so we can actually play in it this time.
Yeah, there's also, I think, a Crystal Cup that day. So
yeah, and we don't want to compete with that.
Yep.
So we'll let people watch the big event, and we'll play our side event while we watch it as well. But yeah, so we had the opportunity to do this, and the Petite Cup that we had in Richmond was kind of our test, and I think that went over very well. And so we got here to this shop, and we didn't really know much about Sunshine Games other than what we had heard from, like, the locals, like Andy Carmona, Sam Prime, those guys. And we get to the shop, and before I say any more, I want to give a huge shout out to that staff in that shop. They did a fantastic job really getting everything organized, kind of reeling everything in. They were super hospitable, super personable, super, super nice. So, if you listen to this and you live in that area, Sunshine Games is an absolutely fantastic store. Also, the fact that I could literally walk outside the front door of the hotel and toss a football to the front door. And usually when people say that, they're being facetious. No, you could literally throw a football from there, and I could tell Adam to go long and just give him a toss, and he'd be right there at the store.
Yeah, it was like literally a 30-second, like not even 30 seconds, like a 10-second walk.
Yeah, which was fantastic. So I could just run back in the hotel, get coffee between rounds, things like that. It was really, really cool. But, the fact that we got the opportunity to do this and everything, and the fact that we had a constant, 100 plus in the stream, like the whole time?
I checked it today. Our max concurrent viewers was 175.
That's awesome.
And we averaged 130 viewers throughout both streams at a time.
How sick is that?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I felt pretty good about it.
Yeah, and and I think as a crew, because it wasn't just myself and Adam, we had our, the rest of our returners ilk, Adam Duncan and Austin Archer, who, to be honest, if you want to run a quality stream operation like that, you need a crew. Yep. And the fact that, all four of us were there, that way we could, because we learned quickly from the very first Petite Cup when Matt Rice and I tried to Iron Man the commentary booth, you can't do it. It's tough. You're just beat down by the end of the day. So having another crew to go in there and kind of take the load off really, really helped. Like, that way we could have somebody, kind of being like a runner essentially. Like for the first half, Adam Duncan was getting deck lists for us and making sure that, the match started when the stream was set up, because we wanted to make sure we had everybody's name in and everything positioned, the round, the timer, and we wanted everything to be right on par with what was going on. So for the first half, Adam was kind of the runner, which, truth be told, that was the best seat in the house from what Adam was saying, because that's where, that you're right there near all the top tables. So you can just kind of look around while you're hanging out up there and just see all these great matches going on. And then, there were 7 rounds on day 1. So after the 4th round, we switched commentary teams. Adam and I kind of kicked off the event. We were just kind of, shooting the breeze with everybody, just having a great time. And then for rounds 5 through 7, we had Adam Duncan and Austin come on and just really call the shots there, finishing off day 1, kind of playing us off. And we also had a special guest appearance by none other than the American Muscle, who, longtime listener, longtime friend of the podcast. Here he's really good friends with Irvin Diaz.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I think it was a pretty sweet way to end the stream on day 1 and announce the top cut. And it was a fun way to do it. I feel like we had fun with it, and that's probably my favorite part. Like, not only did we do well, and I feel like we did a good job of commentating and stuff. But we also had fun at the same time. So
Absolutely, and entertainment is like that's you don't tune into the stream just to kind of just see something stodgy, right? Like obviously you're interested in what's being streamed, but like you want to have fun, and I think this community is really good at having fun. So the fact that we got the player interviews over, and between each round we got the stream winner on there. So we went through some things with each round, and then again we had Adam Duncan. The reason we had Adam Duncan doing all the player interviews was because he was just rocking the blazer. He had the blazer with the cactar pin. It was like you look like you're just ready to like you're down there on the sidelines or right there on the at half court ready to just interview Steph Curry. So we had him do all that. And then on day 2, we had them start off and do top 32 and top 16, and then you and I jump back on to bring us home. I'll say this too, man. I guess let's not jump ahead, put the cart before the horse here. Let's talk about day 1. Adam, day 1. What did you think of the level of competition?
So on stream, the first 2 rounds were a little bit hard to watch. There were people were getting some kinks out of their system. There was a pretty good amount of misplays.
Mm-hmm.
But after round 2, everything kind of kicked into gear, and you started seeing super high quality play. The mistakes went down a lot. You had a lot of bigger names in the community, like Okimoto, like Carmona, like Sam Prime, like Hunter Nance get on stream, and we started seeing some really explosive back and forth matches.
We did get to see the old Layak double card draw from Okimoto. I had to throw some shade at you.
Yeah, he immediately called the judge on himself. Honorable man. It was obviously an accident. He accidentally drew 2, and he was playing against Andy, so Andy was giving him some shit for doing it. Yeah, and Okimoto's list was pretty sweet. It looked like it was firing all cylinders. He was on stream a few times and on the backup match for a lot of time when he was on the stream. And yeah, that Earth Wind list looked really good. It was the same as Rob Phillips' list, I believe, card for card. Luminous Puma was putting in work.
Card's pretty okay. That's another card I've kind of underrated, but it's a great tech card. It's just a great one of for later in the game.
Yep, and we saw a pretty good amount of mono lightning on stream. Saw a pretty good amount of mono water on not a good amount, but a few mono water decks on stream. But they were there. We knew they were there.
Oh yeah.
Death Machine made a pretty strong appearance at the tournament, which I kind of figured it would. I knew some strong players would be on a deck around that card. It was a pretty sweet day 1. It was long and grueling for the players, I'm sure.
And not to mention that the room was full of killers, right?
Yeah, I think I said on stream it was probably the most competitive room I've ever looked at for this game.
Yeah,
in America, in America.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. All the killers were there, and there were some killers who weren't there. That I'm pretty sure that people Brian Berkeley wasn't there. You didn't have Nick Chanel there. The Jersey Boys weren't there. There were some really strong players that weren't in the room, and you have to be breathing a sigh of relief when you see some of these, these better players just not be at these events, because you're like, oh man, that's one less killer I have to sit across from. And the fact that it was a top 32 cut and it was still tiebreakers.
That was rough.
We're talking super tight. You could wrap the final standings. You could wrap that around a piece of coal, and you'd end up with a diamond at the end. Those tiebreakers were so tight.
Yeah, there was a few big names that bubbled or were X'ing 4.
Yeah,
so
it's true. And even some of the guys that ended up X'ing 3 didn't make it. It was just from top to bottom a very, very stacked event. And then day 2 came, and what am I trying to say here? The emotion in the room.
Oh yeah, I think it's all time high. I'll go as far to say I didn't even see this. Maybe it just wasn't on stream. I'm sure Alex cried when he won Worlds. I don't remember seeing it on stream though. But there was so much emotion from the players that were getting further into the tournament and qualifying, and players that grinded really hard last year that didn't quite make it, but they were really close. And now they're finally getting to the point where that's what they're already there where they wanted to be at this first event.
Greg Cole's the perfect example of that. Just to start kind of work our way up.
Yeah, I mean, Greg's had a tough road last year. I mean, he's a great player, and he's in a very hard. Like, California is not the easiest place to play, right? Not the easiest place to qualify from.
Exactly.
And he traveled a lot, he grinded a lot, and he got really close a lot of times. And he just never quite made it. He was trying to get his Nats invite, and he always seemed to either be on the bubble or just like right behind where he needed to be to get that qualification. And then to see him come to his first event this year, get top 4, get his Nats invite. I mean, of course you're going to be emotional, right?
Dude, and he was 2 games away from being on the Worlds team. So it's just like, and to kind of touch base, to kind of touch on that, man. Yeah, you're right. Like, as someone who kind of went through the exact same thing as him last year, I know what that's like. It's frustrating. It is a frustration that just eats you to the core, especially when, like, it's a couple things, right? Like, you're a name, so people sit across from you and they're like, "Oh man, this guy's good. Like, this guy knows what's up." But then, like, to not be good enough, you know what I mean? Like, again, not to make this about, it's not about me. I'm just kind of putting it in perspective. You need to win an event, you finish second. Yep. You need to top 4 an event, you finish top 8. You need to you just everything. It's hard. It's hard to get these qualification spots because you have so many good players, and to get there and to fall short hurts.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The fact that Greg came out, he's been playing the deck he played, that Scions list, he's been playing it, he's been fine-tuning it, he's been testing it, and his top 8 match against Sam Prime was I don't think there was a moment where Sam was in the game.
Oh, well, it was a clinic for Scions for sure.
Oh, it was.
And also a terrible matchup for Sam.
Like, yeah, which hurt. Which really, really hurt.
I don't think Sam probably could have ran into a worse matchup in top 8 for his deck.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it was funny, on the Choco Bros cast before Tampa, that was one of the things they said, Scions turning sideways. It was Greg, ironic and unfortunate.
Yeah, and Greg knows how to play that deck. I mean, I told...
all of his lines were crisp. Yeah, every single...
I told a bunch of people at the event, I was like, I don't think I've seen Greg play a different archetype since Boston.
No, it's true. And the fact that when he made top 4 and he came down, like the dude was all emotion. And when he sat down, and I urge everybody to go back and just watch his his player interview on stream, man. Dude, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. Nope. Especially if you kind of followed his story and kind of followed his journey to where he was at, man. Like, dude earned every bit of it. And the fact that he did it now he's done it so quick. Now he can just kind of chill and prepare and help his teammates test and help get his teammates to the next level. You know what I mean? Yep. So he just a fantastic job. And then obviously it kind of fell short the next match. But man, like he's on the national stage now. I even said I think I don't think the world would have been ready for his speech if he'd have made Worlds.
Oh, I mean the stream.
I think it would have
probably
just
crashes.
Yeah. Oh man, it would have just been a clean X fest had he made Worlds.
I mean, it already was. Like, well, we'll talk about it in a second, but it was. So
yeah, not a dry eye in the room, that's for sure. But we didn't stop there, Adam. Not only did Greg Cole make it in the top 4, we also had some. The top 8. The top 8 was very, very diverse for the most part. We had, I'm actually gonna go ahead and pull up those top 8 lists, unless you're quick on the draw. And you've got them up there already.
I don't have them on me.
Well, guess what? Because you had guys like Alejandro playing essentially the Final Fantasy VII starter deck. With obviously with some of the older cards like your Zangans and your Tifas, which we knew was going to be a thing. But also that I want to say that makes one of your predictions wrong as well.
Oh no, I said it wasn't going to win.
Yeah. Well, no, I think you said it, the.
Oh, I said, I did say the Rufus build was going to end up being at the end of the meta was going to end up being the best Final Fantasy.
Okay, then you got time. Okay, you got time.
But yeah, I probably will get proved wrong because the more I've played it, it probably is Fire Earth. But
it's because Barrett's nuts.
But yeah, I thought you were talking about the Fire prediction. The Fire prediction, I said it wasn't going to win. But yeah,
no, well, it definitely didn't. It definitely did not. But as far as the top 8 goes, the breakdown was you had Earth Wind, Water Earth, Mono Lightning, Earth Fire, and then you had Scions, and then you had 100 ants on like a Death Machine control deck, which is I want to say it was Earth Lightning.
It was Earth Lightning.
And then, and then you had 2 mono water decks.
Mm-hmm.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 different archetypes in the top 8. So that's really, really solid.
Yeah, I mean that's just this game's always like that, right? Like I don't think I've ever seen a top 8 where more than like 3 or 4 of the decks are the same archetype, and that's even still a lot. Most of the time, it's like 2.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like how this was. So
absolutely, and then our finals was Alan Shue, a Michigan player who had a great weekend of cards. I want to say, let me back up a little bit. So it was a top 32 cut this time. This season it's top 32 cuts because some of them are going to have draft, and you need that type of cut for the pods and things like that. So top 32 was the cut, and you had players that the fact that there was a top 32 cut, had it been last season, some of these guys wouldn't have made it into the cut because normally it would have been a top 16.
Yep.
Which is that'll kind of lead me to another point. Colin Rupert, our champion, our winner, was the 32 seed going into day 2.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned that on the cast last time too. I was like, wouldn't it be crazy if the 32 beats the 1 and then goes on to win the entire tournament?
And sure as shit, that's as the sun will come up tomorrow. That's exactly what happened.
I mean, that's a dangerous 32 seed though. Like,
oh yeah, no
I
shit.
told Sam like as soon as Sam Toole was the number 1 seed coming out of Swiss. And I did day 1 before Sam Toole left. I said, man, I was like, that is the roughest 1 versus 32 I've seen in any sporting event ever. Like,
dude, that's like a finals caliber matchup.
Yeah, and I was like, man, it's gonna be tough and of course, like Colin ends up beating Sam for sure. But that match, actually, go back and watch that on stream. That might have been my favorite set from all of the top cut that we got to watch on stream.
It's just a clinic on clean play. You know what I mean?
Both players super clean. Sam Toole's probably the cleanest player I've seen play this game, and that's not saying there aren't other clean players, but Sam announces all his triggers. Sam clearly pays for all his cards. Like, just the way Sam passes the turns, the way Sam moves through phases. He's easily the cleanest player I've ever played. And it's always a pleasure to play against Sam.
Great human being. Great human being. And so the journey kind of continues, and the guy who was in finals against Colin was Alan Shue, who just had a great weekend of cards all across the board. I want to say he was like the third or the 6th seed going into day 2. Like, he just had a monster day of cards. I think he finished X1.
He did. Yeah, he would have made top 8 if it had been a top 8 cut. I'm pretty sure.
Actually, no, I take that back. He was 3 because I want to say our very own Colin Coughlin from RVA.
He was like
number 6.
I think Colin was higher than that, but it's close. It was one of those, somewhere in there.
So, and again, we're just kind of rambling about this event because it was so great. But I do want to take another quick stop to shout out, just RVA. Normally up to this point, it had really only been, outside of Toronto, me and Adam, you and I were the only ones who, from RVA, who had traveled out to events, like major events. So this year to get, Colin, Ron, Top 8 Johnny, and Sarah, to get them to come and travel. And, Colin and Ron had a great day. I'm going to tell you right now, if Sarah knew more about what the other decks did, she'd have gone X1, just straight up.
Yeah.
And because it was, when she was playing the Fire Ice deck, she knew what to do. She knew when to do stuff. She just didn't know what to do it to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I felt like she was playing a little scared, honestly.
Oh, extremely. But that's how you learn. Like, I think she improved 1,000% over the weekend. Top 8 Johnny, I didn't really see much of him this weekend. I think he finished 3 and 4.
Yeah,
I don't.
He said he was having a tough time. His deck wasn't drawn as well as it normally was, and that could happen. So
it happens. Sometimes you brick. But I know Colin Coughlin finished X1, and Ron Escueta finished X2. Colin Coughlin on Mono Water, Ron on Ice Earth. Both of them had great weekends of cards. And both of them, I want to say Colin made it all. He won his first match, made it to top 16 against Azul. And, if he'd have beat Azul, he'd have been in top 8.
Yeah, he was really close, and he was also on Mono Water Veritas as well. And I had we had kind of talked about that night before because I think he was in between Mono Lightning and Mono Water, and I mean I think he had already kind of planned to play Mono Water anyways, but I kind of like pushed him in that direction as well.
Yeah, and it was the right call, 100% the right call. They both had great days of cards.
Yeah, and Ron's always used to ice, so of course Ron's going to be on some kind of ice variant. Yeah. So
and him and Jim Doolittle had a great set. I would have liked to have watched that one. They went all 3 games, and he just hit like the double Famfrit right there on Golbez with like the Luna Freya trigger, and it was just like, well, you don't beat that.
Yeah, we've all ran into the Golbez bulldozer sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And and then I guess where I was going with all that, before I go on the tangents and the shout outs, great Michigan player, Alan Shue, he had a great day of cards all weekend long. Like and then the fact that he played in the finals against Colin Rupert, Colin Rupert just really clawing his way up from the bottom seeds. Had to, not only did he have to beat Sam Toole in top 16, I believe he had to play against Jim Doolittle.
Yep.
Then he had to play against Hunter Nance.
Yep.
Then he had to play against Alan Shue there in the finals, a mirror. And mirrors are hard to play in this game, but getting there and I want to say. I wish I would have seen more of the matchup between him and Hunter. It looks like that was going – game 1, it looks like, Hunter just kind of ran away with it. Game 2, Colin adjusted. Game 3, it looks like Hunter was just – he just went wide, and Hunter was just searching for an answer and just didn't get it. Because I'll tell you what, when he did the Orisha for the Arc or for the Agito to play the Arc – he Orisha to get the Arc, played the Agito, played the Arc – I don't think I've ever seen a human being's hands move so fast in my life.
Yeah, but Colin played around that, actually.
He sure did.
And very intelligently. He Famforded his own thing, forcing the Veritas to trigger. I think he sacked. Yeah, because Hunter had. Did Hunter have Veritas out? I don't remember. But basically, he made it so where Hunter drew 3 less cards off
which
the
is
arc.
huge. Which was huge because he was digging for something, and he just, it would have felt even worse if it was in those next couple cards that really were critical. But then Colin Rupert played against Alan Shue in a great set. And again, go back and watch it. It was a clinic on how to play, Mono Water. And what's rough is, Alan stumbled in game 1.
He did. Well, he had a bad hand, honestly. His hand wasn't good.
Absolutely, and that's when that deck has a bad hand. You green light, you've got to go. You've got to beat them before they recover because it's been like this since Opus 2, Opus 3. When Water gets to 5 backups, it's really, really hard for them to lose.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably been that way since Opus 3.
Yeah,
and it's really hard for that deck to brick from experience. It just has so many early game lines, and then it just wants to get to the late game. It doesn't care how it gets there. That's just where it wants to be. So I mean, even the first game,
you just have to have a clump, a bad clump of junk.
Yeah, and even the first game, ended up not being super stompy. It was pretty close. I do think in the set overall, the Colin's experience on the deck showed.
For sure, 100%.
And I think it mattered a lot. I think he took lines that a lot of other people wouldn't have seen in order to get to the place where he was, and played very intelligently. I mean, he grinded all the way through the top 32. For sure. Not that Alan didn't. Alan did as well, for sure.
Mono Water is just a grindy deck. It just is. It plays a long game.
And I think both players 100% made the correct call on what deck to bring. I think that currently, in my opinion, is the best deck to play. Not that nothing else can win. I mean, for sure that's not the case. That deck is just really, really good and does some unfair things. And Veritas kind of hides weaknesses that Water typically has.
Yep, and and that's what we'll talk. And that's we'll segue into that here shortly. But go back and watch the VOD. It was a great finals. And it was just and then in game 3, there was that moment when you're like, oh my God, Colin's gonna win this.
Yep. Yeah.
The minute that scholar resolved, it's the game's over. That's it.
Yep.
And just again, going back to those emotions. Here's another one. Here's another individual that has just really busted his ass. He made it to Nats. Yeah, he's done well at Crystal Cups, but it wasn't enough. He just wants to keep getting better and better.
And he was
he
really,
wanted to be on World. He was close to making it to Worlds last year.
Really close. Yeah, really close.
And this year, just the fact that it happened early, he needed a minute to just really get his emotions together, man. Because he was another one, man, that was all tears when he won. Like the goal, the grind, like he got what he was looking for, and he did it as like he got it. And again, it goes back to those tiebreakers, man. Like like if he'd have taken one more point of damage at some point during that tournament, he probably doesn't make that seed.
Yeah, it's close.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's so wild to think about. But not only does he get there, he gets to the top, and the fact that it just and just listening to him talk when we were talking about the matchups, like he knows how to navigate around this game, and I think that's something that is going to be just super, super important to the North American team. I think you can take a guy like Colin Rupert, throw him in there with your Hunter Nances, your Jordan Danks, your Okimotos, and really, really create this super, super cohesive, really go through the numbers kind of team. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean he's going to be a big part of that team. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I've told him this personally, and I said it on the stream as well. Like I think he brings a level of work ethic to the North American team that's really going to help get them over the top, and he won't be afraid to try other things, and he'll put in the 40 hours a week on Octagon on top of his normal life because it's something he wants it.
Yeah, and I hope this doesn't mean that we won't see him at other Crystal Cups. I hope he actually continues to come to the ones that he can, obviously. Because I still want to see him play. I still enjoy seeing him play, and I enjoy playing against him too. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And and right now he's the guy to beat. Like in North America, when you see a tournament and you see Colin Rupert show up, he's the guy to beat.
Yep.
Which is funny because I'm sure right now as they hear this, his locals are like, "What? This guy? We beat his ass every week." But like the fact that he's made it there. He brings a really strong work ethic. He really clean play as well. Like he knows what he's doing. And it turns out he's also a terrific human being as well. So, he's if you're looking to learn the game and you're around Gamers Heaven up there in Pennsylvania, man, they got a great group up there, and I don't think we have a better representative for the North American Worlds team right now than Colin Rupert. So, big congrats to him.
Yep.
But I'm pretty sure if you look at, there's a card that was in his deck. I'm pretty sure if you take that helmet off, it's Colin Rupert and everybody else in the community. So the main topic today, Adam, I got a question for you. Is this Veritas' world and we're just living in it?
Right now, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's unbeatable or anything. He's definitely a really, really, really strong card that I underrated severely.
You and me both, brother.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, my first opinion was that he was just more expensive than Gaudas, and why wouldn't I just play Gaudas for 3? Mm-hmm. But the way he just affects the game, you just hold him until they play a forward, and then if you're a slower deck, you just drop him, and then you start playing your backups. And then he just kind of becomes like this wall for you. And even if they kill him the turn after you play him, they're still going to lose something more than likely. So, I mean, unless they're starting to... But I do think you're going to see more counters now. Like, you're going to see people running cards like Fenrir. You're going to see people running cards like Unit
5. Yeah.
You're going to see people playing cards like White Mage and stuff like that. It's like cards that just don't allow him to get his second trigger. Because... his first trigger is ball busting too, but his second trigger is also ball busting as well. And also when you have this meta of Veritas, you get into this game of Veritas Chicken, where it's like you don't want to be the first person to drop it unless you absolutely have to. And I think a big part actually of why Colin won as well is he had 3 Veritas and Alan only had 1. And I think that was actually a big part because Alan didn't see Veritas when he needed it in a couple of those games.
Yep. Well, and not to kind of just to go back, to bring up that point, Alan also did run a copy of Sin, which, man, if he could have gotten to Sin in that game 3, we could be telling a different story today. But the fact that, Colin was just able to value out, just the Veritas value train that he was riding all weekend was huge. So, and that speaks volumes of this card. So, Adam, you mentioned earlier that it kind of masks a weakness that water has.
Yeah, I mean...
Let's go ahead and dive into that a little bit more.
Well, so in my opinion, Veritas is probably the best water card in Opus 8.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Leviathan's
a very close second.
Leviathan's really good, but I mean, obviously I'm kidding, right? He's a dark card, but like, he allows. So basically, for me, the ideal water turn 1 now is like 2 CPs and pass.
Mm-hmm.
And if your opponent tries to go even remotely aggro, like not like if they have a bad hand, they're gonna get punished even worse. So now, if they're playing like a turn 1 forward, or even if they play 2 CPs and pass, you're still water, so you don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just hold Veritas for the second they play anything, and you play them, and you're like, deal with that while I play the rest of my 5 backups. And then once they're at 5, now you're dealing with Cognazzo, Nickel, and I mean, obviously it's a combination of all the cards, but Veritas allows them to get to that point without taking damage. Like Fasoya used to do it, but he was hitting you. He was hitting yourself so that you could stay ahead on board. And now you don't even have to run Fasoya; you just play Veritas, and he kind of does similar stuff.
Yeah, and it's also a card that when it dies, it can just be crippling depending on the state at the stage of the game, the board state. Like if you're playing against a deck that has stumbled at all at any point, like has missed a backup drop, doesn't have a lot of forwards out, that exit trigger is brutal. Just absolutely brutal.
Yeah, sometimes it can set you back like 2 turns, depending on what he does. And then on top of that, we're running him in a deck that has Fanford. So a lot of times we're going to control when our Veritas dies.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really nutty. And then and then on top of that, just the late game power that Water has with cards like Nickel, Cagnazzo, Scholar, and Cloud of Darkness. And the fact that they have so much draw power, they're gonna see their Veritases. And then after you deal with the first one, God forbid they play the second one. You know?
Oh yeah.
And then you're gonna run into lists like Colin that are running the full Monty. So you got to deal with that card. And then I'd say the second best deck with Veritas is probably Earthwind. Just because the amount of recursion in that deck is nutty. Between Luminous Puma, Pooparoo, Minfilia, you could possibly be staring, and Minor, you could possibly be staring down 6 copies of Veritas in a game, even though they only run one.
And the only reason I put Earthwind over Mono Earth with Veritas in it is because they get to have Diabolos as well.
Yeah, I mean, and also you get into this loop too in that deck where it's you play Galdus and Luminous Puma, you break Luminous Puma, you get back your Veritas, you then your Galdus dies, you get Luminous Puma back, and then you get into this stupid, almost similar to the Minor, play the Minor, that kind of loop, but you're getting back Veritas, and you're just sure, you can kill my first 3 Veritases, but how about the next 3?
Exactly. No one plays around Veritas 4, 5, and 6.
So, I mean, granted, they do have to be a little ahead to be able to get in that position to be able to do those things, but it just snowballs the game out of reach for the opponent.
But that's also kind of what Earthwind does already. They kind of play this loopy game, and you're still getting all the same value cards that you've always had. Your Cecils, your Dotalumas, your Noctises. Except now you've got a bigger threat that can... Because that's the problem. Again, this is a deck that wants to set up, and once it gets set up, it just kind of steamrolls you. So if you try to, outrun the steamroller, this guy just comes and just says no.
Yeah, and I think people expected Veritas. A lot of people I talked to knew it was coming. It was no secret. But not a lot of people played to tech for the card. Most people were just I'm just going to put it in my deck. I saw a few people having Fenrir's and stuff in their list, but not much Unit H or anything like that was being played to really kind of mess with them even more.
Yeah. Now Unit H was there, but just not in I felt like more people were playing Veritas than teching for it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A lot more people.
Absolutely.
I think a lot more people were playing Veritas than were teching for it.
Oh, 100%.
I think the big surprise to me, not to go too far back into the Crystal Cup, but only I believe in the top cut there was 3 copies of Yuri across all 32 decks.
Yeah, well, I'm actually glad you said that because that kind of segues into the next half of this topic. Do you think Veritas? That was actually a perfect segue. Do you think Veritas do you think he's become the Yuri of Opus 8? Does Yuri just kind of take a back seat to this time? Does Veritas just say you're riding bitch this season, or?
Oh no, I think they're gonna argue over that steered wheel. But but I think Veritas right now is the flavor for sure. But I think he's a lot easier to counter than Yuri. Yuri was just like, oh, I'm just gonna play removal that hits Yuri, but Yuri just has so many dumb things that he does. But there are pretty legit counters to Veritas. Also, Veritas costs 6, not 4. So I think there's counters to both, to be honest. And I don't think they're like the end all be all. And I do think going forward, if you're gonna be playing Veritas, you need to be careful that people are gonna play pretty hard counters to you, and they do exist. So
100%.
Yeah, and it's the same with Death Machine. Like Death Machine did some work, but it's a card that's gonna be easily answered if people really really want to tech for it. So
absolutely, and I think you're gonna still decks like Mono Wind still have hard answers for both of those cards. And going back to that the Ghent Grand Open, some of the cards that we would question, because I think when we first saw that list, we were like, wow, Shara, 3 Barbarishas. Then when you think about it, you're just like, Barbarisha, Shara, kill the Veritas. Yeah, I'll sack this Shara. She's done her job.
Yep.
And you're in a much better place because now if you got Maria out, you got this on-curve body that's going to threaten to swing, and it's backed up by Diabolos and all the other win tricks. So there, like you were saying, there are ways to build your deck to where this card doesn't just brick wall you. And I think what needs to happen is decks are going to have to start kind of thinking. When I say thinking outside the box, they're just going to have to start making card choices. And this is where like the game of chess comes in. Like if you're a mono earth player or you're playing yellow cards, you're going to have to seriously consider Fenrir moving forward. But now the question is, what do you take out for it? Do you run less Hecaton chairs? Do you run less fight spells? Do you drop that 1 copy of Titan you were playing? Do you go down to 2 cockatrices? Do you cut a forward and just say we're playing this other summon because Veritas is that important? There's in Mono Wind, another card that was in the Ghent Open deck was Moogle, the 4 CP Moogle. That's a great one to play. Get a card. And if they play Veritas, you select that, then you draw another card off of it. Or, that's something you play for the exit trigger or, whatever. Like, you can have cards that you can use to value Veritas. But the thing is, too, like a smart player is not going to play a Veritas on a board where your opponent has like a bunch of Vikings and shit out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think there are cards that, and I do think you're going to be seeing a lot more of Una H, just because of where just because of where Veritas is at right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I mean, like, the better players are going to start teching for it, but the better players are also going to probably continue to play it, too. It is that good of a card. But I'm just... I don't think it's going to be the tank that it was this past weekend, going forward.
Yeah, so we think it'll kind of start to derail. I do think, because I think right now, the mindset is, hey, what deck are we playing? Hey, can we fit 2 Veritas in there?
Yeah, no, for sure, yeah. Or at least 1.
And if you have a deck that's, that can search it, with like Camelot, you're fine with just using 1 because you can search it and recur it, and all that kind of stuff. Or you jam 2 or 3 and just see where it gets you in testing. And if 2's the magic number, you play 2. If 3 felt really good, which it often does, run 3.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of 2.
Yeah, I think 2's good because it can get clunky, especially if you... Because I have the same problem with, it was like with Yuri, right? There's nothing worse than drawing all 3 Yuris, in the beginning. You're just like, well, shit, what do I do with this?
Yeah, I think I would still run 3 Yuri, though.
Oh, 100%.
But I think 2 Veritas is enough. I'm never going to argue against someone that runs 3, because if you could play all 3 in a game, man...
You probably just win.
Yeah, but I don't know. I've had really a lot of success with just playing 2.
I think 2's a clean number. And that's just kind of and that's also what I'm messing with right now. But, it's going to be interesting to see. I do think it will taper off as the meta kind of evolves around it. This is a meta defining card. It's a meta shaping card.
100%.
So you're going to start seeing decks that, and who knows, maybe that Una Mill deck from the Masters event, maybe that was just a hard, big brain, you know what? I don't want that guy to have the cards in his deck to get the value out of that. So you just kind of buzzsaw him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And turns out Light Una is also a pretty okay answer to Veritas. You're like, yeah, I'll sack that. Yeah, I'll sack it again. I'll get it back. You know what I mean? When you have a card like Light Una, you don't have 3 copies in your deck. You have 9 or 10 or 12.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So when you can take away a card's value, you just kind of hard counter it, if that makes sense. And that's just, and I feel like there are cards that are going to start doing that, and people are going to start thinking out of the box. So maybe we'll see something, as the meta progresses, maybe people will start shying away from Veritas, and maybe a card like Yuri will come back, or who knows, Light Una may be the card choice of the month coming up here soon. You just never know. Or Water goes back. You just because of the way this game is, and just how balanced it is, it could change on a dime. Like, I know what Portland's the next Crystal Cup, if I'm not mistaken, the Water Crystal Cup.
Yeah, about a month from now.
It could be completely different.
Yeah, I mean, I expect to see Veritas there, and everybody should. But yeah, I also expect to see people trying to hard counter him.
Yep. Like, who knows? I'm excited the way Opus 8 is shaped up. Again, another huge congratulations to Greg Cole and Colin Rupert, both kind of achieving their dreams from last season, and really proud to see them go. See that happen.
Yeah, and Hunter and Allen too.
Oh yeah, that's right. Hunter's already back on the national stage. I forgot. Yeah, those guys already qualified for Nats. So, and I'm sure I don't expect to see Hunter not show up to certain events. I know he's going to be very interested in going to the draft one, so we definitely expect to see him at those.
I think he's still trying to get the world spot, so I think he's going to be
of course. Yeah. Of course. You definitely want to be a two-time, world's representative player, because he also made top 8 last year too, which is farther than any other North American player has gotten it on the world stage in the last couple years. So there's always that.
Yep.
But with that being said, man, I'm excited to see where Opus 8 is going to go. Tampa was a lot of fun. Big shout outs to everybody. Like, the hardest part of these events is coming home. I love getting the chance to hang out with these guys. The hotel lobby drafts, over $40 worth of Four Loko. Adam, what the fuck were we thinking?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't drink any of that, so you tell me.
Cody, you're the greatest bad influence I've ever had in my life, and I love it.
I saw that, and I was like, that looks like death.
Oh, no. But you know what the big crime is? I never got to eat that Three Musketeers bar I bought. I left it in the fridge in the hotel. I'm so pissed. And I didn't realize it until I got home last night. I was so mad.
At least you didn't leave your laptop.
Do what?
At least you didn't leave your laptop.
Yeah, no shit. We all, Adam, look, we all forgot things. I think my Three Musketeers is more important than your $1,400 laptop.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say no, but all right.
But yeah, dude, just the dinners, the social aspect of it. I love the fact that we were all just staying in that hotel, so we would just run into each other in the lobby. We'd just go hang out in each other's hotel rooms. The dinners over at Gators, dude. Some of the best wings I've ever had, and the 2-for-1 beers, man. Just a really great experience, man. The fact that the shop was hospitality, just the hospitality there all weekend was great.
Yeah, for sure. I can't wait to go back, and I can't wait to do it again. So.
It's I look forward to it, man. The waiting is going to be the hardest part, but we get to talk to these guys every day. And we got an event that we're going to this weekend as well. Plus, we're while we didn't get to see the Jersey boys last week, John Schreiner and his buddy Alex, who was in top 16 of the Boston Crystal Cup last year, will be coming down because we have there's a Winnabox event, the Gashel Greens Cup at Jersey's on this Saturday coming up. April 20th, April 20th, 420. Yeah. I'm too old to be making those kinds of jokes, but
you're also too old to be drinking $40 worth of Four Locos. But all right.
Yeah, no shit. Turns out you bring up an interesting point, but yeah. So we'll still get to hang out with some guys we don't normally get to hang out with, and we're all going to go jam some cards, and it's just going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see everybody again. I also thank the Meta Potion guys for the birthday wishes. Apparently, the torch has been passed, unbeknownst to me, and I was not ready for that, Adam. I was not ready for the birthday the restaurant dessert.
Yeah, that's pretty funny,
dude. It made me wonder why Oki was like, "Chris, would you ever hate me?" What kind of question is that, you asshole? No, I would never hate you. In fact, I love you even more for asking. But now I know why. Now I saw right through. I didn't see through the snake oil. Now I do. Now I see it. But it was a great time. I can't wait to do it again. Adam, do you have any parting thoughts for today?
No, just see everybody in Richmond for the next one that we're streaming. So
absolutely. And again, big thanks to to Square Enix and RB for, giving us the opportunity to do this. It was a lot of fun. I definitely think this season at these major events, I'd much rather find myself in the booth. I mean, don't get me wrong. I definitely want one of those LQ trophies, and I'd love the chance to play at Nats. But if being in the booth for Nats and Worlds is on the table, I would most certainly love that opportunity, and it'd be a very humbling and just fantastic experience for us to be a part of that. Even in conjunction with, the break zones kind of made their name, on the commentary side or on the streaming and commentary side of things. So I'd love to have the chance to, work in collaboration with those guys for the two biggest events in North America. So I just can't thank everybody enough for, just tuning in and just, letting us do our thing and just having a good time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, that being said, we will see everyone next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Yep. See you later.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening once again to the RVA Returners podcast. If you like this content and you want to hear more, check us out on YouTube at RVA Returners, and make sure you follow us on SoundCloud and check us out on Google Play and iTunes.